Very good evening, everyone. I am Aditya Pratap, advocate and founder of Aditya Pratap Law Offices. Today, I will be speaking to you all about an important concept which a lot of people tend to get confused about. It is about the difference between land and plots. Let's take a quick look. Just let me get into a proper position here. Now, time and again, you would have come across advertisements by real estate brokers in which they advertise gated communities, second home projects, but they use the word land. We have prominent developers who say that presenting a brand new second home project outside Mumbai, and they frequently say land is a great investment, land is a great value. However, in this discussion, we will draw a distinction between what is land and what are plots. So here the first thing we consider are land and plots. Now, what is the difference between land and plot? Land, as we know, is the surface of the earth. It is the surface on which we stand. And let me just get this angle right. Land is the surface of the earth. It is the terra firma, as we call it, on which we stand. And on land, we can do farming, we can grow trees, we can build property, homes, building, etc. Now, land in its standard form, let's say a farmer's agricultural land or some wasteland out of the city, that is what we call land. This raw land or virgin land, so we have raw land, which is also virgin land. This raw land is essentially undeveloped land, land in its natural form, or land in its existing use prior to development. In order to initiate the development process, land is taken up, and first and foremost, it is fenced. That is, it is first consolidated, it is boundaried, it is fenced, it is demarcated. After that, the entire land is leveled, and then it is zoned into plots. For example, land can be in any shape. Land can be like this. This can be a random form of land. Now, this is raw land. This is raw land. This land, when a person purchases it, he makes it into plots. Now, how does he make it into plots? Well, he's going to put a boundary on it. So on land, we have the boundary which comes. So the first act of fencing land, boundary, or which is building a boundary, the purpose of building a boundary is to assert one's title, ownership, and most importantly, possession of the land. Once the land has been taken and possession has been asserted, then the person commences the process of zoning of the land. So he's first going to level it. So number one, he will do leveling of the land, leveling the land to make it level or to give it a certain slope so that rainwater, etc., will not collect. And third, and after that, the next step will be to lay out the land, demarcate, so now raw land obviously is not usable. When we talk in the context of a second home project, what does the person look at? The person looks at any particular lay person or buyer will want a specific plot. He will want not any random piece of land. Like, for example, if I purchase a plot for say 50 lakhs, sorry, let's not use the word plot at this stage because we are still at the stage of land. Here we are discussing the difference between plot and land. Why? Once again, let me revisit the title of this talk. Why? Today, I want to educate buyers about that when they see the advertisement of a second home project, which is advertising itself as land, it is not land, it is plots. Land is, as we know, the surface of the earth. In fact, the surface of the earth is called land. The what we stand on is called land. Just let me respond to this call. So as the raw surface is called land. From a real estate standpoint, raw land is not very usable. Land has to be developed. Now, how does the land get developed? Well, first and foremost, the piece and parcel of land which is in a person's possession is identified. It can be identified by means of a map. After that, it is demarcated, it is fenced, boundaried, and enclosed. The next step would be to level it. The land is leveled, and after the leveling of the land is done, then the process of laying out the land commences. How is the layout of the land done? Well, each land, the first act of laying out the land would involve making an access road like this. This road, once it enters, it can branch out into smaller roads, as we can see. This road can branch out into smaller roads and so on. Now, so a car will come like this, it can turn left, it can turn right, and then within these smaller subdivisions, so as we saw, the land has been subdivided. When raw land has been identified, it has been fenced, it has been taken possession, it is then leveled. After the leveling is done, then the process of laying out the land happens. How does the laying out happen? The layout of a land is prepared, and I'll use the keyword here, layout. The layout of a parcel of land is prepared by subdividing it into roads and plots. So this is where we arrive at the term plot. Land is not the same as plot. Plot may be a subset of the word land, but land is a larger term. And what is sold to end buyers of second home projects is not land, it is plots. Now, when any land aggregator or a land dealer, a colonizer, or a builder acquires raw land, he stands to make a considerable profit. In fact, it is common parlance to buy land by the acre and sell it by the square meters, and now in today's scenario, square feet. So large land developers tend to purchase several tens of maybe hundreds of acres of land by the acre, 10 lakhs per acre, 20 lakhs per acre, and then they merge it, combine it, consolidate it, fence it, then they subdivided it into roads and plots. The piece and parcel of land that emerges after the layout and subdivision of raw virgin land is a plot. So, as we have seen, this plot of land is being subdivided, and the smaller portions that emerge, as you can see, these are plots in rectangular. So, a plot is a piece and parcel of land that has a definite size, it has a definite shape, and it is accessible by a road, and ideally it should be serviceable by water, electricity, and drainage utilities. So now, as we know that the process of land development commences with the acquisition of land and ends with the demarcation and final sale of the plot. Of course, there can be developers who would like to do an integrated gated community by even constructing the structures on the subdivided plots and selling it to end users, end home buyers as row houses and villas and so on. But it is important to note that whenever a home buyer views an advertisement, he should note the distinction between land and plots. And I'm also saying this from a financial standpoint, because maximum profits in real estate development are made when the raw land is acquired, because raw land comes relatively cheap. It is when that land is demarcated, zoned, subdivided, and the plots emerge, then those plots are sold at much higher margins to customers. Now, in the context of today's scenario, when we speak in the context of developments in the Mumbai metropolitan region, what is being sold to most buyers of second home projects is not land. There are plots. Now, I have observed as a regular newspaper reader and a person who browses the online media that plots which are sold are in pretty low sizes. I see reputed developers because when I was like in flats, when we stay in a 2 BHK flat, we are accustomed to 800 900 square feet carpet area. When we stay in 3 BHK flat, we are accustomed to 1100 or 1200 square feet carpet area. But when the word plots comes to our minds, the word plot conjures up a rosy image, a nice 500 square meter or say approximately 5,000 square feet, huge piece of a large plot of land on which we can construct a house. However, a lot of builders today are selling extremely small plots of the tune of 1200 square meters, 120 square meters, 150 square meters. When converted to square feet, their sizes range from 1300 to 15 or 1600 square feet. Come on, this is the area which a flat occupies. When you sell land or when you sell a plot, the area should be bigger. So now developers, in my opinion, are trying to hard sell tiny subdivided plots to the end user home buyers and are labeling them as land. So the average lay person is either consciously or unconsciously paying a high priced is paying the sky high purchase price of a subdivided and demarcated plot, whereas the same is being sold to him with the investment promise of rosy financial returns like land. For instance, land is purchased by builders at 10 to 20 lakh rupees per acre, but each subdivided plot of which is a fraction of the size, 120 square meters, 150 square meters, 200 square meters, are being sold to buyers by the square foot at rates of almost up to 1 crore for a plot. So, while home buyers should be aware that that what they are buying is not raw virgin agricultural or natural land, they are buying a subdivided plot and they are paying an exponentially higher price. They should become self-aware that a subdivided plot sold at a very high price might not yield the same results as virgin raw land yielded. Which is why I call upon the real estate industry to use the word plot in their investments and not land. Because what is being sold to buyers of second home projects are not virgin land parcels of half an acre, 1 acre, or 2 acres. No, they are being sold much smaller square or rectangular plots of much lower sizes. And builders are selling these plots with all the appreciation priced in. That is how they are making windfall profits. And therefore, I call upon home buyers to always remember the distinction between the word land and the word plot. Land is the surface of the earth in its natural form on which we stand. A plot is a piece and parcel of land having a definite area and a definite shape, duly subdivided and demarcated with a boundary, which is created after the entire process of layout and subdivision of the land is complete. I am Advocate Aditya Pratap, and I hope you all found this live video session helpful and informative. Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you all and see you again and wish you all a nice weekend. Thank you.